This young woman's story cuts deep because it isn't just about one failed blind date, it's about the quiet loneliness and silent battles many single women face in their 30s. Born in 1994, now 31, she feels the pressure of time, of expectations, of society whispering that she should already be married. And yet, despite her efforts, despite going on blind date after blind date, she keeps leaving empty-handed. What strikes hardest is not that she dislikes the men she meets. On the contrary, she even admits that they seem nice, polite, and leave good impressions. But something inside her pulls her away. When the man suggested a bar, she simply couldn't bring herself to go. Instead, she longed for the comfort of her own routine, riding her bike, going home, escaping the pressure of pretending to be someone she's not. That small decision, which to her felt natural, ended up creating disappointment in the other person and, eventually, silence between them. Her confession reveals something profound. It's not the men, it's not even her choices, it's the weight of habit, of work stress, of a lifestyle that has become so closed off that even the thought of opening up to someone feels overwhelming. She's honest enough to admit she doesn't know how to talk to men, that her world is mostly filled with women, and so every conversation feels forced, awkward, unnatural. This isn't just her story, it's the story of countless women who reach their 30s and realize that finding love isn't as simple as society promised. The anxiety creeps in. Am I too rigid? Too boring? Too late? And yet, behind her words is also courage, the courage to be authentic, to admit that she isn't ready to pretend just to please someone. Her pain isn't about rejection, it's about the haunting fear of being left behind, of watching the years pass while love slips through her fingers. And that is why her story resonates so deeply. It reminds us that loneliness is not just the absence of others, it is also the inability to connect, even when others are right there.
This passage hits a nerve because it reflects the brutal honesty of modern dating culture in China. On one side are the leftover women, educated, independent, often over 30, but weighed down by the heavy expectations of society and their own uncompromising standards. On the other side are the spiritual little sisters, girls once dismissed as reckless or rebellious, but now suddenly recast as ideal partners simply because they seem easier to love. The metaphor is painful, comparing older single women to an uneaten dish, or worse, to a grave that consumes offerings without giving anything back. It's cruel, but it reveals how deeply stigmatized women over 30 have become in the Chinese dating market. Their maturity, independence, and caution, traits that should be valued, are reframed as flaws, as reasons to avoid them. Meanwhile, the spiritual little sister is painted as the opposite: simple, affectionate, grateful for the smallest gestures. In a society where men often feel exhausted by competition and financial pressure, the image of a woman who won't demand money, status, or perfection feels like a relief. That's why they are suddenly celebrated. But underneath this contrast lies a darker truth. What men are really seeking is not just love, it's validation, appreciation, and the feeling of being enough. Spiritual little sisters give them that, while leftover women are seen as reminders of inadequacy, of standards too high to meet. And so, the debate is not really about women at all, it's about how men cope with pressure, expectations, and their own insecurities. One group of women gets vilified for being too strong, the other gets idealized for being too soft. The tragedy is that both groups are real people, longing for love, yet judged not for who they are but for how they make others feel. This reversal of reputation is less about women changing, and more about society's shifting desires. And in that, we see the raw, uncomfortable truth about modern love in China. It is not always about the heart. Too often, it is about what soothes the fears of the other side.
This passage delivers a brutal verdict on the fate of China's so-called leftover women. It reduces the dreams of millions of women, educated, ambitious, independent, to a cold calculation: wait too long, and the only men left for you are retirees. It's a harsh reflection of how unforgiving the marriage market has become, and how cruelly society measures women's worth by their age and fertility. The first point strikes at the heart of modern inequality. Many men who cannot succeed in urban life retreat to the countryside, while women cling to their city lives, chasing independence and opportunity. This creates a cruel paradox: plenty of men in rural areas, plenty of women in cities, but no bridge between the two. The second point cuts even deeper: the constant reminder that women's biological clocks are ticking, that their value declines with age. Men are encouraged to calculate like accountants, youth and fertility on one side, risk and decline on the other. And in that ledger, women in their 30s are written off as liabilities. The third point seals their fate: the arrival of younger women, armed with beauty, youth, and equally high standards. For leftover women, it feels like being pushed out of the game entirely, outcompeted not because of who they are, but simply because of when they were born. The conclusion is devastating. If you refuse to settle, if you refuse to leave the city, if you dare to hold on to your independence, then society says your only choice is an old man who has already retired from life's battles. It's not love, not companionship, it's a warning, a punishment, a scarlet letter branded on women for daring to age without a husband. And yet, beneath this cruelty lies a deeper question. Why is it that men are allowed to age with dignity, while women are told they expire? Why must a woman's worth be tied to her womb, her youth, her compliance? The tragedy is not that these women remain single. It is that society refuses to imagine their lives as valuable unless attached to a man. This commentary isn't about matchmaking, it's about power. It's about who gets to define worth in the marketplace of love. And right now, that power is being used to corner women into fear, shame, and compromise.
This confession is not just a personal reflection. It is a cry that echoes the hidden fears of countless women standing at the edge of their late 30s. At 37, she suddenly confronts the possibility that marriage may never come, that the life she dreamed of, a partner's protection, a child's laughter, the warmth of a family, may forever remain out of reach. Her words are soaked in vulnerability. She admits her fear of being left alone, her sadness at watching life slip by without the milestone society promised her. She does not simply want luxury or status, she wants something deeply human, to belong, to be loved, to nurture and be nurtured. That fear, raw and unfiltered, is one that many can feel but few dare to say out loud. And yet, what follows is not despair, but a kind of rebirth. In the ashes of broken expectations, she chooses defiance. If no one will love me, then I will love myself. That sentence transforms her grief into power. She turns her longing for a husband into a plan to be her own protector, her own provider, her own lover. Her dreams expand beyond the walls of a home. She envisions chasing the aurora in the Arctic, meeting penguins in the Antarctic, standing under the Eiffel Tower, floating above Turkey in a hot air balloon. Each destination is more than travel. It is a declaration that life can still be extraordinary, even without the traditional script of marriage and children. What makes her message powerful is not that she has given up on love, but that she has chosen not to let the absence of a man define the end of her story. She embraces strength, wealth, health, and self-love as her companions. And in doing so, she redefines happiness, not as something handed to her by others, but as something she can create for herself. Her journey is a mirror of resilience. Yes, she may grow old, but she will grow old strong, independent, and unafraid. She is proof that even in the deepest loneliness, one can find light, and even in heartbreak, one can find freedom.